As promised, we're back with part 3 of our Creature Commandos video series. Feel free to check out the first 2 videos on G.I. Robot and the Bride live now. Also, make sure to check out our new podcast, The DCU Experience, dedicated to covering all the latest news, reviews, and rumors in the DC universe, live now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and right here on our YouTube channel. Today's video is on a lesser-known member of Batman's Rogues Gallery. Creature Commandos introduces us to Dr. Alexander Sartorius, who was tragically manipulated by Rupert Thorne and ultimately horrifically mutated into the raving psychopath Doctor Phosphorus. However, in the comics, Doctor Phosphorus is the byproduct of an unfortunate accident that turns Alexander James Sartorius into a walking ball of deadly radiation. Phosphorus is able to manipulate radiation and emit powerful irradiated fumes. He's basically the last person you want to be stuck in close proximity with for any extended period of time. He's a living ball of irradiated fire and an absolute disaster for close quarters fighters or encounters. Today, we're going to take a look at the completely tragic comic history of Dr. Phosphorus. Dr. Phosphorus made his comic book debut in Detective Comics 496, written by Steve Englehart and drawn by Walt Simonson, but his actual backstory is told slightly more effectively in other comics, so we're going to jump around a little bit first. In Batman 311 from later that year, we get a one-panel explanation of how Sartorius became Dr. Phosphorus that's a bit more concise. Dr. Sartorius was a heavy investor in the Gotham nuclear power plant, but his own cutting of costs caused the plant to explode. This turned Sartorius into the irradiated Dr. Phosphorus and drove him mad. Instead of blaming himself, he blamed Gotham and decided to become a general menace. In Detective Comics 469, after a long night of patrol, Batman returns home to his penthouse to find Alfred collapsed without explanation. Unable to reach an ambulance, Batman changes into Bruce Wayne and rushes Alfred to Gotham General himself. There, Bruce learns the city is facing a widespread epidemic with dozens of other cases spread out across Gotham. Batman determines that the source of the outbreak is the water supply, and as Batman, traces the source to the Gotham Reservoir where he confronts a new villain, Dr. Phosphorus. Phosphorus is an irradiated mutant with a vendetta against the city. Phosphorus's glowing body burns when contacted with air, and as Batman attempts to stop him, he learns that his body burns Batman directly on contact, making a direct fight really problematic if he doesn't want to, die immediately. Batman wraps his fists in pieces of his cape in order to stop the burning contact, but during the course of their fight, they begin to battle in the reservoir. There, Batman realizes that underwater, Phosphorus's touch no longer harms him. With this advantage, Batman forces Phosphorus to retreat. Here we get more background on Sartorius. Sartorius was a prominent doctor and businessman in Gotham, and through an elite Gothamite club called the Tobacconists, he met Rupert Thorne, a fellow businessman and crime boss. Thorne convinced Sartorius to invest his life savings in a power plant as a tax shelter. However, the people of Gotham rejected the plant and it was forced to be built 3 miles into the Atlantic. The cost of moving the site forced the plant to cut corners basically everywhere else. Sartorius was on site after hours the very day the plant installed the reactor core. However, the core had a meltdown and Sartorius tried to hide behind bags of sand. The radioactive sand mixed with the blast and pushed the atomic level up 1 from silicon to phosphorus, burning forever. Sartorius became Dr. Phosphorus and vowed to make the people of Gotham pay. Batman visits Gotham General to check on Alfred, but to his surprise, he finds Alfred recovered. He also finds Commissioner Gordon in the same room, both victims of Dr. Phosphorus's radiation poisoning. There's a minor subplot here about Batman having been recently subpoenaed about his vigilantism, and he questions Gordon about the subpoena he had received. Imagine having to be the person who subpoenas Batman. Gordon suspects Rupert Thorne, a prominent crime boss and businessman from Gotham, being involved in some way. But Dr. Phosphorus attacks Gotham again, this time at a rock concert affecting hundreds. Batman then retreats to a newly expanded Batcave under the Wayne Foundation building. While working, he realizes he's contaminated with radiation from his encounter with Phosphorus. Chief O'Hara calls to inform him that Batman is now a wanted man, and Phosphorus's attacks are escalating. Batman decides to investigate a nuclear power plant funded by Rupert Thorne, but guards stop him. As Bruce Wayne, he hosts a yacht party to distract the elite, including Thorne, while secretly investigating the plant as Batman. He sneaks in, finds Phosphorus in the reactor, and fights him in a special batsuit designed to protect against radiation. Batman kicks him off the side of the plant into the reactor core, resulting in an explosion which Batman narrowly escapes, believing Phosphorus had died. We next see Doctor Phosphorus in Batman number 311 from the same year. After the Gotham nuclear reactor goes critical, Batman investigates and finds a glowing pair of footprints, realizing Dr. Phosphorus is back. Phosphorus has taken up residence at the plant, which a group of protesters want to shut down. Meanwhile, Batgirl, who's now a congresswoman, arrives in Gotham after defeating Killer Moth, advocating for the plant's closure as well. Batman meets with her after failing to capture Phosphorus, who threatens to reign over all. Batman deduces that Phosphorus plans to seed clouds with irradiated material and literally rain fire on Gotham. He and Batgirl track him to an airport where Phosphorus tries to steal a plane. Batman crashes into it with the Batmobile but is dazed, leaving Batgirl to fight the good doctor alone. But Batgirl's kind of a badass, and she subdues Phosphorus by wrapping him in Batman's radiation-proof cape, cutting off his body's access to oxygen. Phosphorus needs oxygen to maintain his irradiated flames. Now wrapped up like a little homicidal present, Batgirl secures Phosphorus with a standard issue bat rope. Batman recovers and finds the situation under control, and Doc P is moved to Arkham for the foreseeable future. Now from this point on, Phosphorus was used sparingly over the next 2 decades, showing up briefly here and there and a brief stint in a few issues of Starman. So I'll highlight some of the more notable appearances, but not all of them, as it's mostly just him getting absolutely bodied. In Detective Comics 825, Phosphorus is shown being held captive within a research facility owned by Cadmus Research. Dr. Phosphorus escapes from the research facility, killing a scientist named Dr. Church. Batman and Commissioner Gordon investigate, linking Phosphorus to the crime. At Gotham Medical Plaza, Batman interrogates a burn survivor and learns that Dr. Bell has ties to both Phosphorus and crime lord Rupert Thorne. Phosphorus attacks Batman and Dr. Bell on a rooftop, injuring Bell and proving stronger than before. Phosphorus leaves to hunt Thorne. Back in the Batcave, Alfred casually mentions using bicarbonate soda for an upset stomach he has, triggering an idea with Batman for a method of attack against Phosphorus. Hellbent on revenge, Phosphorus attacks Rupert Thorne, who's currently incarcerated in Blackgate Prison. Batman arrives using special bombs made out of baking soda to neutralize Phosphorus's powers, knocking him out and sending him back to Arkham. His next prominent appearances are in Batman Battle for the Cow Man-Bat number 1. During this time period, there's technically not a Batman, as he had died during the events of Final Crisis. This leads to a sort of who's who of the Bat family and adjacents all sort of working together to maintain sanity in Gotham City following a massive breakout of inmates from Arkham Asylum orchestrated by Black Mask. Phosphorus is featured in 2 one-shots. The first one-shot sees Man-Bat face off with Dr. Phosphorus, who kidnaps Kirk's wife. When Phosphorus attempts to kill Francine Langstrom, Kirk transforms into Man-Bat and carries him into the river, plunging him into the icy waters. He survives that, and is later shown having been encased in sand and stopped by Wildcat. Ultimately, Dick Grayson ends up taking up the mantle of Batman, believing that it's more important that the world believe Batman is still out there. Before taking up that mantle, Phosphorus attacks a local chemical company and Damian Wayne attempts to stop him on his own. Nightwing arrives as the battle is beginning and neutralizes him with a bazooka that fires flame-retardant chemicals at him. He returns him to Arkham, that has been transformed into a type of twisted experimental facility that quickly gets out of control, and Dick has to go right back in and stop Phosphorus among others. The Good Doctor appears here and there, mostly in small single-panel appearances like in Forever Evil number 1 as part of a villainous cabal, Detective Comics 50 in a flashback, and in Batman 19 getting absolutely mollywopped inside Arkham by Bane. But there's one more interesting story left. In the 2021 limited series Future State, we see a possible alternate future for the DC Universe. In Gotham, the Magistrate, a mercenary group, rules over the city. However, some of Batman's most notorious rogues have united under the banner of Arkham Knights, led by Astrid Arkham. In this future, Phosphorus is dying of cancer caused by his radiation poisoning, but doing his best to act as a hero despite being in constant pain and suffering. During a mission that sees the Arkham Knights attempt to steal back the Bat Signal, Phosphorus dies resisting the Peacekeepers. just a cool little non-canon appearance and a hero's death for our boy. But as we've stated in our podcast, The DCU Experience, Phosphorus is one of those villains that seems primed for more. He's a really cool character with a cool power set, and Batman seems to take him very seriously. He just hasn't had any significant stories in the past few decades. Hopefully with him appearing in Creature Commandos, we'll see a brave new comic writer step up to the plate and attempt to define Sartorius once and for all. I mean, based off what we've seen in Creature Commandos, I think it would be cool to see another multiple issue story focused primarily on Doctor Phosphorus, but only time will tell if we get that. And that is it for the complete history of Doctor Phosphorus. I hope you guys learned a lot, and if you did, consider liking, subscribing, and doing all that other crap that YouTubers ask you to do. And hey, while I got you, also feel free to check out our new podcast, The DCU Experience, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or right here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This has been Nick with Key Issues, and remember the motto, Doctor Phosphorus over everything.